Yeah, normally, again, I tell you, get up, get moving. Let's get a Thursday going. Much like yesterday, stay in bed. Stay snuggled up. Preston, Jen, I'm dead serious when I say this, and I give all the credit to Jen because I can only imagine a little tiny Jennifer with her blonde hair and maybe curls having to be bundled up back home. Did you ever have curls?
No, I have very straight hair.
Yeah.
It's tragically.
Yeah.
But I will say that there were mornings out in the farmhouse that was not well insulated. I would be sitting literally on a register vent, little nightgown, over my folded up knees or whatever, so that air was all just blowing up on me while I'm eating my oatmeal, Cold.
You can call me a wuss, and you can call me all kinds of names. I don't do this, man. Like, I walked in and looked at Preston. I was like, I learned more about it. Now, I do learn a lot about myself and just my depression standpoint and my anger standpoint on, like, really cold mornings like this. And I guess, comparatively speaking, Jen, this is a regular Midwestern morning as opposed to
January.
Yeah, as opposed to being abnormally cold here.
Yeah, no, this is pretty normal. And again, I can remember the days which, it sounds like though I walked, 6 miles in the snow, but no, I can remember times where I would go out to catch the bus and you inhale and your nostrils freeze together. But that was just, a day ending in Y.
No. What is it, about 25 this morning? Is that wherever we get our typical
Yeah,
weather?
I think that's about what I was seeing, 25, 26.
Which, again, Saturday, or I believe Sunday, it's supposed to be the low in the morning. It's supposed to be in the teens. So
that's just, I'm sorry, it's stupid cold.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable. This is why I now continue to say I will play golf in Myrtle Beach in 100-degree weather with 100% humidity and be much happier than what I was this morning when I walked in, Preston. So
yeah, and I, last year, or was it last Christmas Eve when there was the lows got down to 14, a year ago, and that's when we had those pipes that burst, and a lot of people experienced that as well. So I'm going into this weekend going, oh please no, and we tried to make some adjustments and things because it seems like pipes on outer walls are the ones they'll get it, but make sure you have cabinet doors open, make sure the heat is up, if you have a way to insulate pipes. There's a lot of precautions were taken.
So anyway, if you're getting up, if you got to get up, stay warm, be ready. It's going to be, but the temperature will get up a little bit further today as we'll get you ready. We'll get you ready for a Thursday. Carolina calls with Coach Lamont Paris tonight. I'm hesitant. I don't want to say this is the biggest game of his South Carolina tenure because I feel like that's Fayetteville is a house of horrors for South Carolina. Preston Thorne.
Okay.
And I feel like that's just putting too much pressure on them. But, man, you look coming up down the pipe for the Gamecocks. Arkansas in Bud Walton Arena, very difficult. Next Tuesday night, Kentucky. Then you get maybe a winnable Missouri game at home the following weekend, and that's followed up by Tennessee. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday in Carolina Calls tonight. Lamont Paris, I know, will focus on this game at hand on Saturday, 1 p.m. You can hear the pregame starting right here on 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach at 12:30. I don't feel like I want to jinx them, but at the same time, this one, you got to go back and earn one after letting one get away on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Bill, say it. Are we trying to make the tournament or not? If we're not trying to make the tournament, then whatever. It's a house of horrors, and we'll go down there and we'll see how good we do. But if we're trying to make the tournament and compete, is that what we're trying to do or no?
I don't think this is the game that you put that on. There are going to be other opportunities that I think are maybe a tad more realistic. I don't know if that's fair.
When you start saying realistic, what are we talking about? What are you really trying to say?
I give you an example. You look down the pipe, and there's going to be a stretch. There's going to be a stretch of games after that Tennessee right here. These three. You see these? This is Saturday, February the 3rd at Georgia.
Okay.
Tuesday, February the 6th, Mississippi at home. Mississippi got popped by LSU last night. Mississippi was ranked. I think they will, past tense, not be ranked next week. And then this one right here, Saturday, February the 10th. Like, when we talk about it, you could have a little bit of a losing streak here. And that's what we're having to do, almost the path to the NCAA tournament.
Sounds good. I like it.
And some people might be saying, well, you just need to take it one game at a time. No, the team over there, all those players and those coaches and all the people, they can take it one game at a time.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, Preston, I'll look, as we look at this schedule, look at it right here. Like you talk about, like Arkansas, difficult on the road. But Georgia on the road, Mississippi on the road, A&M on the road. Those are three games that I go, that's a little bit more winnable. Arkansas is an ultra-talented team on Saturday afternoon. Again, 1 o'clock, SEC Network. You can also hear it right here. I don't feel like I want to.
Okay.
I feel like if I say it every time, people are just like, all right, well, I'll turn on the radio and Gunner's talking about how important that game is. You go in and win. That Georgia game, I think, is swept completely under the rug. You say, man, it would be nice.
So you swap those. So we need to steal a game that we lost.
Right.
So for that Georgia game, we need to win one of these games that maybe we're not supposed to.
And I'll give you another place that's an absolute house of horrors is this one, Saturday, February 25th at Mississippi. Mm-hmm. South Carolina's awful in Oxford. Mm-hmm. They're really, quite honestly, aside from a few years here and a few years there, they're awful everywhere on the road. But Oxford, College Station, those are games a little bit further, maybe even a trip to Mississippi State at the end of the season. I'd put those ahead of.
Okay, that's fair.
You're gonna have to win maybe some of those there.
All right, that's fair.
So we'll get a little bit more into that this morning. We got a lot of different stuff to get into this morning. Your brother is a Georgia fan.
Yes,
and you love him.
I do.
You're very glad he's in your life.
Yes,
but he's a Georgia fan. It can be a little obnoxious.
Yes.
Do you have any Cowboys fans like that?
I know, of course, I know several Cowboys fans, which is a very interesting breed because they just walk around with the confidence of a team that has actually won at some point. As we talked to Tyler yesterday or on Tuesday, the Cowboys haven't won since he's been alive.
Right.
And so the outsized level of confidence that they have is really, truly astounding. So, yeah, whatever, man.
Not only have they not won, they haven't been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they haven't even been. I heard a statistic that Green Bay has won more games in Jerry world than the Cowboys have as far as the playoffs are concerned.
Ooh, I had not heard that. That would be awful. We'll get because I don't know. I'm interested to get your take. Did Cowboys fans get punished again yesterday by Jerry Jones by keeping Mike McCarthy? I like Mike McCarthy.
I mean, I like Mike McCarthy like I like plain oatmeal.
He just seems like a good guy. I don't like. He's not Nate Oates out there pushing other players and talking trash.
I don't have anything against Mike McCarthy. It's like, yeah, this plain oat, this regular plain yogurt is fine, no problem. I guess I don't think anybody's requesting it, but
right.
I'll eat it. Okay.
He could be your coach. You would expect a nice regular season and a complete letdown in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll go 10-6 or 10-7 and lose in the first round, and it'll be fine.
I did see a stat where they're the first team in NFL history to win 12 regular season games in 3 straight years and not play for a conference championship.
Ooh.
Well, that's all 3 of the McCarthy years, not play for a conference championship. So it's rough going. We'll get your take on that. A lot to get to this morning. Speaking of coaching, Jerry Glanville still in the profession. No matter what age, no matter what level, I'm interested to get your take on Jerry. Matter of fact, what I wrote down is the topic. Preston, so we might have to change that a little bit.
We're gonna have to rephrase that topic. Yeah,
we'll get into that this morning.
The answer to your question, which nobody will ever see, the rundown of the show. The answer is yes.
Yes,
and that applies to everything. But I don't know if we can do that.
Well, we'll get into that, and then we'll get into some college football. Xavier Legette showing up in a recent first-round mock draft on CBS. Talk a little bit about Xavier Legette, his career, what we will remember about him. And then also, I think it's fair to ask, is Alabama being rated by the portal. Preston, I've got two different tweets here. One of which is from Message Board Genius, and I'll go ahead and read it to you.
All right.
This is from Roll Tide, 1987. Okay, it says he's been a member of the Alabama 24/7 Sports Board since November of 2009. He or she, but likely he, because I think women have a lot more stuff they have to do. And this person has posted 64,000 times.
Okay, frequent flyer.
They posted yesterday at 11:51, I'm done with major college football. At least until things get fixed.
Yeah.
With Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor now both in the portal, it has become clear to me more than ever that the spirit of college football is dead and gone. These players are nothing more than guns for hire and aren't even loyal to their teammates. They see dollar signs and split.
Yes.
Isaiah Bond, this is actually a good point. I mean, Isaiah Bond became an Alabama legend with his catch in the Iron Bowl. He would never have to pay for a meal in Birmingham or Tuscaloosa ever again. Now he's on his way to play for a rival SEC school. I just don't care at all anymore for what college football has evolved into. It's all about money, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, man. I told you all Alabama fans, welcome to the world. Hey, this is college football. I know you've been existing in another plane for the last 17 years, a different galaxy looking back on us from the front row of the college football plane, trying to figure out how we all sit back here and coach so cramped. Good luck. Welcome back.
There's also I asked this question last week after Saban retired.
We're going to run that tweet back later, too.
Yeah, you like that, huh? Yeah. Alabama fans are all of a sudden going.
That's great.
Alabama fans are all of a sudden walking out this morning going, where's the birds chirping? It's not warm. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing. I asked the question, I think, last Tuesday, and I wasn't stating a fact. I was asking a question, and people on Twitter lost their mind, but I was saying, with Nick Saban retiring, does the Alabama game seem a little less daunting? I'll give you a breakdown of what all they are losing right now. They're too deep. Now, some of it is to the NFL. Some of it is just flat graduation, and then a lot of it's transfers. It's actually being decimated. This is the first time I've ever looked at Alabama and been like, as we're saying, hey, welcome to the club. Hot cocoa and cookies right over there, and sit down. Put on your name tag, buddy.
Good luck, man. Come on in. It's a little crowded in here, but it's fine. You'll be fine. No problem.
We'll get into all of that. We'll get into that this morning. A lot more to get into as well. We're going to get to a depth chart that Preston wanted to get to, and as we get ready, we'll go ahead and do this today. Get you a vibe check. I want to know where everybody is on South Carolina basketball right now.
It's a good time to check it.
Do it on a Thursday.
Good time to check it.
We'll get into that. A lot to do this morning. 803-404-6100. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
No major tie-ups to speak of right now, but we are getting reports that there's a little bit of black ice on Highway 1 between Swartz Road and I-20. So definitely if there's areas where maybe sprinklers have run or just, you see that it might be a little bit wet, it could be icy. So be careful out there this morning because it is certainly a possibility that you've got some black ice out there. So, and that leads us into the forecast this morning. 55 for the high today. Under sunny skies, 36 will be that overnight low. Tomorrow, high of 53, and then we get back down to the 22 being the overnight low. Come Saturday, only 39 for the high and 16 overnight. It's 24 right now on the early game.
.620 on your chilly Thursday morning. And doesn't really get better this weekend, so make sure you got the firewood ready to go or the heater ready to go. And we'll get you through. Before you know it, it'll be the nice dog days of the summer, and we will be sweating. And trust me, I will be enjoying it. And for one, not complaining in the afternoon, Preston Thorne.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I'm not a fan of the cold. However, you don't get to put on any clothes in the summer. And I like putting on clothes, so it's a trade-off. But I will make that trade. I don't have a problem making that trade.
Coaching carousel in the NFL, it's a spinning.
It's still spinning.
Jim Harbaugh interviewing for the Falcons.
How about the Falcons putting out little tweets like, "Hey, just interviewed Harbaugh, just interviewed Belichick." That's fascinating.
Yeah, they're
doing something.
They're having a good time.
Yeah,
they're having a good. They'll settle for Norv Turner or something of that matter.
What a good name. What a great name. I'm sure Norv's up for a job somewhere at some time.
They'll pull Marty Schottenheimer out of the old grab bag, but they're doing that. But yesterday, Mike McCarthy back now with the Cowboys, and yesterday Dak Prescott on the lost Sunday, the thumping they took at the hands of the Green Bay Packers. Here's Dak on McCarthy after Sunday's loss.
Yeah, he's been amazing. I don't know how there can be, but I understand the business. In that case, it should be about me as well, honestly. I mean, that guy, I've had the season that I've had because of him. This team's had the success that they've had because of him. And I understand it's about winning the Super Bowl, and that's the standard of the league and damn sure the standard of this place. So I get it, but add me to the list in that case.
Don't worry, Dak. We have Dak. We have added you to the list. And in fact, you've been on the list for several years. There's been conversation around Dak Prescott about what do you do with him as a quarterback, because I think in all actuality, he's very similar to Mike McCarthy in that, he's good. But is that going to get us to where we're trying to go? And I'm not sure that combination together is going to get Jerry where he wants to go. They'll as long as Mike McCarthy's there, they'll be fine. As long as Dak Prescott's there, they'll be okay. But will that get them to a championship? I'm not sure if I see that in their future.
Jerry Jones is getting up there in age now. He's 81 years of age. I would assume, I don't know how he feels about his legacy or how he feels about the Cowboys whenever he moves away or passes on, whatever he elects to. I don't know if they'll have to carry him out of that office in Dallas after something has occurred.
Again, not to be morbid, but I would assume he has a spot somewhere.
So
on the premise, on premise.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah,
but I say that it's a good point. I say that because I wonder if he's going to run it back one more year. But if he's looking at this going, yeah, before my time comes, I need to get a quarterback and a coach that gets me one more Super Bowl to celebrate with my family.
That is the big thing. I know he's and probably and honestly, for as outgoing as Jerry is and how much he's sort of in the spotlight, this is probably the right decision. Probably.
Really?
Probably, I guess. It's probably the rational decision. Like, give it a chance. They're good enough. Maybe we can add some pieces to the thing next year. It's probably the rational decision. But we don't expect Jerry Jones to make the rational decision because, like you said, there's a combination of things adding up on him. He's running out of time. He has a bunch of money, very little patience, and he wants very bad. Everybody wants to win, but Jerry really wants to win. And I just don't think it's going to happen with McCarthy and Dak.
You're right. I can understand where he's going with this for Cowboys fans because it feels like if you move away from McCarthy, is there a solution, a quick like it doesn't feel like Belichick's going in there and winning a Super Bowl next year. And it really doesn't feel like, even though I think Jim Harbaugh would go to Dallas and probably get things done eventually, kind of like he did at Michigan, I just don't know if it's next year or the year after.
Right. And what they need is somebody to take them to that next particular level. I'm not sure Belichick can do it. Let's be clear. Belichick hasn't proven that he's able to do that for a team. He's proven how great he was. We don't know how great he is right now. Currently, his past 3 years would say maybe he's slipping a little bit. So that's that. Harbaugh, I do trust Harbaugh with going into a bad situation, making it good and taking that to the next level. But this is a very unique skill set that a coach would need to have, and I'm not sure that person exists out there.
Well, and also with Belichick, I'm not sure he would get the total control that he wants, that he has had. And Robert Kraft, by and large, just said, I'll pay whatever you want. You buy the groceries. And Belichick was one of the best at knowing when the groceries were about to expire and getting the most out of him. He was also good at going again to the BOGO section of the grocery store and picking up a Corey Dillon or a certain player that had a year or two left.
That's when Belichick was his best, when he was making these personnel decisions and people were like, you got that guy, like you said, from the BOGO section, maybe went to the beat up produce and was like, this banana's still good. We can make some banana bread out of this. But recently, Bill's not been great at the picking of the produce, and so, but I think he still wants that. He says, even though I think he said he doesn't necessarily want that, that's something you'll always want.
Well, and also,
and he's not going to get
also with Belichick, Dak is not going to be Tom Brady. There's no Tom Brady.
That's another aspect of it, and we don't. I think Belichick is one of the greats, obviously, but we haven't seen him be great without number 12.
In the same division, the Eagles, who are flying along, looking great. Super Bowl was certainly in their path. I was shocked they were beaten the way they were. I know Jalen Hurts is hurt. I know he's got the issue with the hand. I know that things have come a little unglued there, but I was shocked. Not that they lost. I could see the Bucs winning. I was shocked at the way the Bucs beat them on Monday night.
That's over. That's a wrap.
Really?
Yeah, it's over. Now, on the flip side, where I think maybe Jerry's making the rational decision, I think the decision here is we got to cut ties.
Fletcher Cox, linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, defended his coach, Nick Sirianni, this week. Here's what Fletcher Cox had to say as it pertains to Nick Sirianni.
What is it to talk about, man? Because, man, he's a winner. He's a winning head coach. Do we have some bumps this year? Yeah, but every team, every organization, everybody goes through it. But we don't look at firing a man who, obviously has won 10-plus games 2 years in a row, that's took this organization to 3 playoff appearances 3 years in a row. That's a respect. Coach he's a good leader for this team. He does a really good job. Did we come up short? Yeah. Did things happen this year? Yeah. But you don't look at, or no, I don't discuss about, firing a man or, this man got a family. I don't discuss about anything.
I'm interested to hear your argument here because you're going to tell me that they're making the wrong decision with Nick Sirianni. We'll let you get into that when we come back, get into a little bit of Alabama football as well. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game. New year upon us, and you know what? Maybe you're looking to save a little bit of money. Aren't we all trying to do that? And you know, one of the best ways to save, refinancing your home. And there's only one person that you need to turn to in this market. It's a mortgage guru, the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder for First Palmetto Bank. Again, if the new year has you looking to buy or refinance, Jacob Crowder will get you taken care of. He helped me purchase hopefully my last home just about 4 years ago, so I can speak to the effort and the work he puts in. Give him a phone call, 803-719-1005, or you can email him, the letter J, Crowder at firstpalmetto.com. With interest rates having stabilized, it's time for you to see what the mortgage guru can do for you. So again, give him a phone call this morning, 803-719-1005. And if you're looking to build a new home, guess what? First Palmetto Bank has got you covered there. So contact the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank.
And to start off your Thursday morning, we have two reports of tie-ups. Summit Parkway at Hardscrabble Road, also Bluff Road at I-77, and a couple areas where there's some potential black ice. Maybe some sprinklers had run overnight, and then that froze a little bit. So just kind of keep your eye on the highways early this morning if you would. 55 will be our high today. That overnight low going to be 36. And winds start to pick up a little bit tomorrow. Going to be kind of breezy. 53 for the high, overnight low 22. Saturday, if at all possible, just stay home. It's 39 and with an overnight low of 16 and a chilly wind. It's 24 right now on the early game.
When we last left you, just about 5 minutes ago, Preston Thorne was defending the move by Jerry Jones to keep Mike McCarthy. Thinks it's a good idea. Just go ahead and run this sucker back. And then he was prepared to tell us why the Eagles, despite 3 playoff appearances, 1 Super Bowl appearance, 2 seasons of double-digit wins, are making a mistake with Nick Sirianni.
I don't like the cringing face that Preston is currently making.
Is it because I'm explaining this out loud that you're now re-questioning this?
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm hearing what I said. I feel like you're painting me into a corner here. That was a very solid argument. I like what you've done. But you know what, Bill? I'm going to come out swinging.
Okay.
I'm going to come out swinging. Yes. I still think that probably the right – now, if they fired Mike McCarthy – cool, they'll get somebody else in there. It wouldn't be that tragic of a thing. But I think that's probably the right decision. On the other hand, Nick Sirianni, I'm not sure. Yes, all of those things did say that is correct. Run those numbers one more time.
Nick Sirianni, so far in his career, he's coached 3 years. Mm-hmm. First year, 9-8.
Okay.
Second year, 14-3, and that included a loss to Kansas City in the Super Bowl. This year, lost to Tampa Bay in the wild card game. So he's matter of fact, I didn't realize this until I'm reading it out loud. He has lost to Tampa Bay twice in the wild card game and then lost once in the Super Bowl to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. 34-17 overall is his career, 2-3 in the playoffs.
So let's start back there. 2-3 in the playoffs. He hasn't been that successful in the playoffs. Those wins coming when they had a bye. They had a team that they caught a wave last year. But the bigger number I would look at is 6 of 7.
Okay.
This past year, they lost the last 6 of 7 games. And I don't know. And I said it earlier on Tuesday when you weren't here. The first reason why I would fire Nick Sirianni is because he's a bad judgment of the profession. Because during the middle of the season, he demoted his defensive coordinator and hired Matt Patricia as the answer. And anybody, anywhere that hires Matt Patricia as any possible solution on your coaching staff, you deserve to never work in the NFL again. So that's one. Now, losing 6 out of 7, something was clearly wrong. Bill, I've been a part of teams who have lost 6 out of 7. And I can tell you, those teams went downhill quick, not because of talent, not because of scheme, not because of play calling. It's because there were things going wrong in the locker room. Why do you think that this man who was the captain when things were going wrong, what suggests that he would be able to go back and fix that?
Well, the first question I would have is, what do we think was wrong? Like, what?
Him.
Just. Do you think? So you're going with him?
Yes.
You're going. He's the
captain of the ship.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I hear you, Fletcher. Congratulations to you, but. You kept saying, Fletcher Cox kept saying, well, there were some things that happened. We had some bumps. What were the bumps in the road? Why was that team who had won 10 games, all of a sudden in the last 6 games, couldn't win a game? And I don't know if you saw that team's effort during the Tampa Bay game. They had no interest in being there.
That's what I was saying, and I think that was part of what surprised me. For those that forget, or if you're an Eagles fan, and we apologize for doing this to you, Thanksgiving weekend, or they played Sunday. They didn't play Thanksgiving. But I say Thanksgiving weekend, November 26th. They beat Buffalo in overtime. Great game to get to 10-1. They were hammered by 23 by the 49ers the following weekend. Lost by 20 to the Cowboys after that. By 3 to the Seahawks. They did bounce back, and I think this was an ugly game for some reason. I remember it, Monday night game, Christmas Day night, whatever. They beat the Giants by 8. But I think even that was still kind of an ugly game.
That was during the Tommy Cutlets era. So, I mean, beating the Giants did not mean a lot.
Well, then beat Arizona by 4 on New Year's Eve, only to lose the following week to the Giants by 17.
Yes. And they lost to the Giants by 17. And then how much did they lose to the Buccaneers by?
It was a thumping, 32-9, lose by 23. So, again, as you pointed out, losing 5 of your last 6 after a 10-1 start, and they are home for the playoffs. So you're going with Sirianni should be out?
Yeah, because I don't know why he was. It's not like as if Sirianni was the top of the board when they hired him. So it's not as if they're losing this really prodigy type of candidate. He was a guy that they hired. They were taking a chance on him. Sirianni, his coordinators have done well. Shane Steichen has done pretty well at Indianapolis. People have said that he was really the one that was calling the plays. The team sort of adjusted when he was calling the plays. I just don't think Sirianni is the answer. They can try it again, but another part of negligence is if Sirianni is the one calling the plays, and you have Jalen Hurts, and you know who Jalen Hurts is. We all know who he is. Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 45, 50 times a game. You have no idea how to call an offense with your personnel. And so I don't understand how that would work unless they were planning to make some drastic changes in the next year.
Just up the road, the Carolina Panthers, do you see this? This is according to MSN.com. This is their sports section. This is the list of people that the Panthers have. Yes, are you seeing this list?
Oh, okay.
Yesterday, according to this list, the Panthers interviewed defensive coordinator Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn. Yeah, Dan Campbell would be a home run hire. Dan Quinn of the Dallas Cowboys, and yesterday interviewed Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams.
2 retreads.
Have also interviewed Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator. This is, again, it does break down whether they've requested or interviewed, but it does say they've interviewed Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smith. They interviewed the Carolina defensive coordinator.
Good luck.
Coach Avero. Coach Avero. Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald interviewed back on January the 11th. They interviewed Baltimore offensive coordinator Todd Monken back on January the 11th, and they have also interviewed interim head coach Chris Tabor back on January the 10th. They've requested a few other interviews. One is Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson, who is expected to interview. That would probably be a home run hire, and then we'll see if they're able to get anybody else in there. It's a good time up in Charlotte.
Yeah, nobody on that list necessarily impresses me. I don't know if there's, and that's a certain thing about some of these coaching cycles is that sometimes there are home run hires that are out there, and sometimes you left to try and make a change when there's not necessarily that many great coaches to choose from. So, but there are these vacancies that need to be filled. So I'm really interested to see how they go, but I would not want to go the retread route of Dan Quinn or Raheem Morris.
One other name that I continue to see pop up very prominently here for these head coaching positions, Leslie Frazier, is popping up a good bit. Has interviewed with the Los Angeles Chargers. Is a guy that I may interview in Carolina. You've also had again, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, has picked up several interviews. Dan Quinn interviewing with the Seahawks as well. So you've had some guys in here. Quinn, just by my count here, has had 3-4 different interviews. Commanders, Titans, Seahawks, and then we just mentioned the Panthers.
So Dan's trying to be a head coach again, and I get it. Congratulations, Dan. I don't know if that's going to work out for you. The name I don't see very often up here, and I wonder what that's about. I don't see Vrabel's name on any of these coaching requests or interviews, and I wonder what that's about.
Wouldn't surprise me if the way everything went down, he's just like, I'm going to take a year off. He does that podcast, too, with Bussin' with the Boys, right? He's a part of that.
No, he's a frequent visitor, but I don't think he's part of it.
And the reason I can see is him going, you know what, I can latch on with television somewhere, do a year or two, and then get back in and get a good job. 803-404-6100. We'll talk a little fashion when we come back. Depth charts.
Big time depth chart.
Big time depth chart. We'll get into that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. She's Jen Jensen. It's the early game. It was cold out there last night. Boy, I hope your roof at your house is keeping you nice and insulated. I hope you don't have any leaks. I hope you don't have maybe any other issues with it, because if you do, there's only one company to call, Mid-State Roofing. That's right. For nearly 30 years, they have continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. From high-rises to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Mid-State Roofing is the #1 commercial roofing company here in the Southeast. Not just in South Carolina, but maybe in Myrtle Beach, maybe in Florence, wherever you have a home or a business. It's time to let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. And they have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week call center. So even if you've got an issue right now, give Mid-State Roofing a phone call, 803-356-1919, and they'll be there ready to help you. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's Mid-State Roofing. Reminder, you can always go and follow along on our personal live stream. You can go to youtube.com, search the early game, click join, subscribe, be a part there as we get you up and get you going each and every morning. You can join the likes of Trey, Casey, Anthony, David, DC, Robin, Bernice, all in there this morning chatting about how chilly it is. Again, go to youtube.com, search 107.5, search the early game, and you can join in there, join in our chat room, see some of the videos that we post. Also, don't forget, you can go to youtube.com and search the Game TV. And you can follow all the shows each and every day. Get a nice peek in at what's going on each and every morning right here in the 107.5 The Game studio. So a lot of different ways to follow us. You can even go to your smartphone or your smart device and download the 107.5 The Game app. Take us wherever you are, wherever you go. Even if you're outside of Florence, Myrtle Beach, or Columbia, outside of our listening audience, you can take us on your 107.5 The Game app. Just go again to your smart device, smartphone, go to your app store and download the 107.5 The Game app. So a lot of different ways that you can be a part of the program each and every morning as you get up and you get going. 803-404-6100. It would not be the early game without a little fashion discussion. And on Tuesday night, Preston Thorne, South Carolina leans in a little bit to the quarter zip fashion, giving out T-shirts to the students. It's a T-shirt, but on it had a little quarter zip, kind of like, I don't know how you would describe it.
A really cool promo idea. Great job, whoever's in the promotions department. Students, if you got one of those, hold on to them. Hopefully, they'll be very cool here in the future.
Okay.
But we got to do this. There's an epidemic going on, and quarter zips are the culprit. According to this company in the Great Britain, according to the Journal, let me pull it up. This is only one particular clothier, but the statement says quarter zips have become the new status symbol for men of a certain position. This clothier claims that they've sold 62% more quarter zips than crew necks in the past 2 years. That's their numbers. We all know numbers can be shaky. So the question for the depth chart is this. You have to pick some outerwear. What are you going to go with? What's your depth chart? You can go with quarter zips, hoodies, vest, crew necks, cardigans. What is your depth chart on outerwear?
I do think
of course, because it's cold outside, you're going to have to layer up, so you might want to pick one of these.
I do think that there is a caveat to what you're asking, because there's two kinds of quarter zips.
Okay.
There is, you've seen it, I wear a lot of them myself. There's what I would say is the athletic, thinner version. Mm-hmm. Are you counting that in there? More the, I'm talking, I've got like the Adidas and I've worn the Nike in here, and it's something I would wear. I'd even wear it
more of a wicking material of sorts.
Yeah, because, or are you going more of the sweater? Because I even feel like Lamont's quarter zips are more of a thicker, obviously it's winter, but more of a thicker material than some of the thinner ones I have that are what I almost would label more athletic attire.
There is a distinction, and I do appreciate you making that distinction.
Yeah.
For the purposes of this depth chart, we're just going with the functionality of the quarter zip.
There was a time in my life where I went through a sweater vest phase.
Okay.
A strong sweater vest phase.
All right.
That was very strong. I went through a very strong phase of just straight sweaters, and I've worked my way to the quarter zip these days.
Okay, so if you had to do a depth chart, you going quarter zips starting? You're starting with quarter zips?
I'd go quarter zips to begin with, yes.
Okay, all right. That's a solid. I'm interested to see what people are saying. Like I said, I see quarter zips have been everywhere. You see them all the time, any place. And, obviously I think maybe Peyton Manning might have really brought this thing into the forefront because he's rarely seen without one. When you watch the Manning cast, you'll have Peyton in one along with Eli and another one. They almost look like they're dressed as twins or whatever the deal's going on. And so with Lamont leaning into, I don't know if he's leaning into it, with marketing leaning into the quarter zip, what do we feel about the quarter zip? Is it a starter? Is it on the bench? Constant contributor to your wardrobe? Where does the quarter zip fit into your wardrobe?
You've seen me. I think the easy way, like I think my closet is just full of them. but I think it's become so. There, it's the starter. I'll tell you the attire here that I'm about to, I think, give a try. About to give a try to is the kind of the sweater vest, but it's more of the it's not the old school traditional sweater vest. I don't even know what you would call them, but it's kind of it's not a sweater.
It's a vest.
It's a vest.
Yeah, like one of those Patagonia vests. Or
yes,
something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I got a buddy that I hang around, Chris Staten, and I noticed the other day he seemed to be rocking it. It seemed to have a good,
a distant family from the sweater vest.
Yeah, I kind of saw that and I was like, I think that might be time to give that a shot.
Yep, I could see
it might
that.
be time to go down that path.
You can go with the vest. You can go fleece. You can go bubble vest. There's a lot of different ways you can take that. You can get a warmer one. So that is very much something that you can do.
And Taylor called in and had even a different suggestion just to throw things off a little bit. He said, "What about a half zip?"
Yeah, half zips. I do appreciate that. That's a little bit far, but I can understand that concept.
So I'd switch it up a little bit. And I've even gone more to the jackets. I've not done, or the hoodies as I'm wearing this morning.
Yeah, so let us know. 803-404-6100. What's your rotation in the wardrobe? Where does the quarter zip fit into the wardrobe?
There you go. We didn't get yours, did we?
Oh, I have a scalding hot take. I'll give it on the other side.
The early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. And let me just tell you, they have been fantastic for our family. When we had that flood, had to completely redo our kitchen. They were there for us to get our kitchen put back together. And that photorealistic rendering that they do makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to put everything else together when you have such a mess in the house. But did you know they do more than kitchens? Do you have a closet maybe that needs to be more functional? Your pantry, is that kind of a mess? And maybe you're thinking about putting some drawers in or something like that. Maybe you're wanting to create some kind of a workspace. Maybe you're going to work from home and want that a little more organized. They can help with all of that. CHWCabinetry.com. Check them out or call them today at 803-520-6837. Be sure to tell them that Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Passion from inspiration to installation. So be careful out there this morning in case there's any areas where there could have been a little bit of precipitation on the highway overnight. Could be some black ice this morning because you're waking up to where it's about 24. So, again, just kind of keep your eyes on the highways. If something looks slick, just approach it with caution. Or avoid it altogether. Bluff Road at I-77, obviously. We mentioned before an accident there. Summit Parkway at Hardscrabble. And Highway 601 at Screaming Eagle Road, an accident there. We did have that one case of black ice, Highway 1 between Swartz Road and I-20. We are looking for it to warm up today. Be sunny, 55 for the high today, 36 for that overnight low, 53 tomorrow. But then we get back down to 22 in the overnight. By Saturday, it really cools off. 39 windy and 16 for the overnight. It's 24 right now.
Strong take. Right off the bat. Ray weighs in. Hoodies. All-time #1 overall seed.
Nice. Good pick. Solid selection, because also with the hoodies, just like the quarter zip, you can get, your workout type of hoodie, or you can get maybe a nicer fashion one. I've seen some really, really fashionable, trendy cashmere hoodies that go way up in price. You can do a range of things with that. Solid call.
Mike weighs in. Hoodie. And he capitalizes, all caps, hoodie. And then he goes, all day, every day.
Hoodie's making a strong performance here. Also, somewhere down the line, the hoodie became very popular with the middle school set.
Yeah.
Well, that way you didn't have to wear a coat.
Okay, is that what the deal was?
I think that's probably the deal.
That was probably around the time when you was dealing with that. It became very...
Yeah, I think that really does make a difference. The thing that I don't like is that if you do wear a coat, then you've got that bulky thing, kind of in your back that just makes you crazy. Yeah. But no.
Wait, if you do wear a bulky, what?
Talking about the hood.
Yeah, if you do wear a coat, then you got that hood that gets in your way.
Over a hoodie.
Unless you get it flipped out and
double flip. Yeah,
I don't know if y'all have noticed. I have gone to a more of an old man, I'm lazy kind of vibe this winter, where I'll have either a shirt or a little bit warmer, and it has a hood on it, has a hoodie, and I take the hoodie out of the coat or the pullover, because I've done that a couple times where I've gone hooded T-shirt. Mm-hmm. Really, the hooded T-shirt, by the way, has made quite the strong impression on me the last several months. But
then you put the hood up, right?
But then I put the hood up. But then I put the pullover over top of it, so the hood's sticking out the back.
Okay.
So we have a strong contingent for hoodies. Anybody else feel any strongly about any of these other pieces?
We've got our texter from Charlotte goes starter quarter zip. Number 2 on the depth chart, full zip sweater vest.
I like it.
And number 3, I don't know what this is, but I'll look it up. Barber jacket.
Ooh, yeah, wax barber jacket. Very nice pick. Very, very solid pick, especially in the rain. Maybe a little bit cold for a barber jacket now, but barber jacket's a good call. Good, solid. Whoever you were in Charlotte, I respect that.
Yep. Another Chris weighs in. Chris really breaks it down. Outerwear. Number 1, Jets starter jacket from the 80s.
Oh, I feel you. Okay.
Number 2, Knicks hoodie. And 3 is a trench coat. Oh, boy.
Like it. I like it.
Anonymous texter, I will check this out. Heated hoodie. Anyone tried them?
Oh, no.
I'm going to have to check that out later on here today.
Oh, no.
check into those. David goes with canvas jacket and vest as starters by temperature. Quarter zip on special teams.
Quarter zip definitely a special teams guy. He can play everywhere, very versatile. Glue guy for the wardrobe for sure.
I'm learning because I did not know what a barber jacket was, and I didn't even know the spelling. BARBOUR.
OUR, yes. Very nice jacket.
So just a quilted jacket, just a really nice look.
Yep. Anonymous texter goes, everyone is sleeping on crew necks. You can dress them up, dress them down.
I agree. I think the long steak and crew neck, people have, maybe taken it for granted because it's been here for so long and it's performed so well. I think we might take the crew neck for granted. Good call.
Let's see, we get two more coming in. Anonymous texter goes with puff jacket, which I think I kind of have here behind me. I wore the sweatshirt with a wool-lined puff jacket this morning. Felt okay in the car. And I've seen these, and a buddy of mine has one. Anonymous texter goes, currently wearing my Milwaukee 12-volt battery heated jacket.
Okay. There's got to be an intersection of function and fashion for me, so I don't know what we're doing here.
It's good. Trust me, it's a good jacket.
For what?
Staying warm. That's the goal. That's the goal of these clothes.
No, that's not the goal of these clothes. That's what I said.
Preston wants to look good.
There has to be an intersection of function and fashion.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Bill doesn't care about the fashion part of it.
Yeah.
He's just an 80-year-old woman who's looking to stay warm.
There is, again, much like we broke down the different elements of the quarter zip, and you can have kind of the nicer ones like the sweaters that I have, the quarter zip sweaters versus the athletic like Nike, Under Armour, quarter zips. And then you've got kind of the mid-range, which is like the thicker quarter zips that are Under Armour, but they're thicker. We're coming in here at 6 a.m., and I know we're doing live streams. We got multiple live streams now, and Preston and I honestly have been made fun of the last few months because we come in here with the goal of being warm. Like, we had our studio at one point, which was basically a frigid bear cave for months.
I think it is improved.
It is greatly improved. They've gotten it taken care of. But you're right. When I show up here, the goal is to be warm and to survive for 3 hours.
Like if I was at that Kansas City Chiefs game, give me the 9-volt heated
100%, yeah.
Whatever that is.
Because that's extended.
Yes.
Being outside, whereas you're kind of going in and out a little bit more. I don't know that you necessarily need to be lit up.
Good point.
Yeah. So there, keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. 803-404-6100. As they, again, on the Milwaukee jacket said, just charges just like a telephone. Just got to heat it up, man. Got to get it going. Throw it on.
To me, that's more of a Midwest, Northeast kind of a thing, just because I don't think you really have to invest in that down here.
There you go.
It's very limited. This is a limited run. It's going to be really cold a couple days this week.
I'm telling you.
Totally get it.
I'm telling you. 803-404-6100. I'll get to more of these. A bunch of y'all wade in there. We'll get to all of these.
Appreciate y'all. I'm going to hold my scalding take for a while.
We'll hold that. Good, because I got one that I'm interested to hear. I'm interested to hear. Now, you kind of got into this a little bit this year. We've talked a little bit about with basketball. Where do you stand on moral victories?
Okay.
I tell you what, you hold your take, and let's listen. Rick Pitino over the weekend. Rick Pitino, first year at St. John's. Rick Pitino, by the way, a caveat to what we're about to play, what you're going to listen to him. He missed this week's game against Seton Hall because of COVID-19, so I don't know if his phrasing during the interview I'm about to let you listen to or but Rick Pitino gave his take. St. John's not doing bad this year. St. John's kind of
course.
They're I mean, again, I like Pitino. I'm a fan. I'll take time out when they're playing to check them out. But Pitino and St. John's this year, they've been kind of interesting. Again, they've lost 2 straight just this week, and again, Pitino missing Tuesday night's game, I believe, against Seton Hall. But the bottom line is, Red Storm hanging in there right now. They are 12-6 on the season. Now, Creighton is a really good team. Creighton was ranked. On Saturday, St. John's lost by 1 point to Creighton, 66-65. It was on the road. Not really a bad loss. We've talked about it. Pitino wasn't happy. Here's his take on moral victories. Boy, I hope this is edited.
Okay.
So whatever your hot take on moral victories was going to be, that's Rick Pitino's.
Yeah, I don't have my take is definitely not that hot. Yeah, I know a lot of people get upset about moral victories, and I understand that concept.
As Pitino does.
Pitino does not like moral victories as a coach, and as a coach, you don't get paid for moral victories. You don't get paid. That doesn't work. But I do think there is space to appreciate improvement in performance. I'll say that. So. Now, that's a very mild take from me on the idea of moral victories. I can't say that I hate them, but of course I would prefer to win.
Yeah, they took it on the chin on Tuesday night, 80-65 to Seton Hall. That's not a moral victory, so you can feel good. But Pitino's starting to feel himself again. He's getting into these press conferences and starting to. They're 12-6. They're not really. I haven't seen them in Lenardi's bracketology lately. We'll see where they end up and whatnot, but. Tina's starting to kind of put himself back out there. You know, he did his time at Iona, and he got him to the NCAA tournament.
Of course, he's going to get St. John's to the tournament too.
But Pitino is starting. They actually are in there right now. They're up to a 7 seed in the most recent.
Yeah, I don't know if it happens this year, but they'll. Yeah, he's a great coach.
By the way, just FYI, this bracketology was updated 2 days ago, the 16th, so prior to South Carolina's loss to Georgia. I think it doesn't tell me what time. I'm assuming it was updated. Yeah, it was updated at 9 a.m. There it is. South Carolina was in there, according to Lenardi, as one of the last 4 buys in, so you wouldn't have to play that play-in game in Dayton, Ohio. But at least as of Tuesday, Lenardi still had the Gamecocks in there. They would have been, according to this, he would have had them as a 10 seed in the Salt Lake Regional out in the Los Angeles bracket, the West. They would have been playing Iowa State, and then the winner would face Arizona or Sam Houston. So just most recent there. Speaking of that, 1, 2, 4, or 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. Send in your vibe check. Where do you stand with South Carolina basketball right now? You still excited? You still feeling 4? You still thrilled, feeling 5 because we're being able to talk about it? Or did Tuesday's loss and maybe the upcoming schedule knock you down to a 1 or 2? Where do you stand? 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. I'll get to a lot of these text messages because, well, there's a lot to get to here from attire to what Spurrier felt about moral victories. We'll get to all of that this morning. Keep sending in your depth chart on your, we calling it your winter outerwear?
Winter outerwear. Winter wardrobe outerwear, yeah.
And send us in 1, 2, 4, 5. Where do you stand on the South Carolina basketball team?
Men's basketball team.
Yeah, you should all be feeling like a 5 with the women's team. But where do you stand on the men's team? You still fired up? 4 or 5? Some of that been taken away. 1, 2. We'll get to that. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game.
Preston here. Let me tell you about my friends at Integrated Media. It's time to get yourself ready. We told you in the spring, we told you in the summer, football season is coming. There's still time to get ready for the big game. So whatever you need to do to get yourself ready, call Integrated Media. You want to get Samsung Terrace TVs, waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, or my personal favorite, controlling all your devices from just one remote. If you want to get your place set up for the big game, you can do this with your friends at Integrated Media. You can have your thermostat adjusted or security systems that are monitored from your cell phone. The thermostat might be a big thing to invest in right now in these next couple of weeks. So Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can check them out online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
Potential for some black ice out there, so just kind of watch for any shiny patches on the highway because some areas that might have had some precipitation, sprinklers, that sort of thing. There could be couple of slick areas. We do have a patch of that actually on Highway 1 between Swartz Road and I-20, or at least there was earlier. As far as accidents are concerned, 601 at Screaming Eagle Road, also Summit Parkway at Hardscrabble Road, Congress at Garner's Ferry, and Bluff Road at I-77. That forecast, we're looking for a high today of 55, overnight low of 36 tomorrow, 53 for the high, overnight low of 22 with some wind coming in, 24 right now on the early game.
Shout out to the cockpit. They came and supported tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't come victorious, but they here. Columbia's here, and this is what I've talked about preseason, and I love it here. I love the fans, the support we get. Just keep staying with us. It's basketball. It's a long season. It's a lot of ups and downs. And again, we're not a team that just is going to take this loss and say our season's over. Like, we're going to get back in the lab and keep going. So, stay with us. And again, appreciate all
7:18
I know it's a late game.
as we
Everybody
roll
being here
along
late
on
to
a
support
Thursday morning. Stephen Garcia set to join us here in about an hour. We want to get into some NIL stuff with him because
they here.
I'd say Garcia.
And this is what I've talked about preseason.
I was trying to do the math on this. Fourth, probably. You probably would have had Lattimore or Clowney top two for NIL back in that stretch. Fair?
Yeah, yes, I guess. If we're talking about NIL as far as endorsements, things of that nature, popularity, yes.
I had those two. Alshon maybe third.
Okay.
Back in college, Alshon wasn't the most charismatic, vibrant person, but I don't know if being charismatic matters all that much.
Right. It depends on what we're talking about.
And then I had Garcia at 4 ahead of DJ Swearinger. And I bring this up because I wonder, I mean, we'll get back into what's going on at Bama now that the Saban is gone. Lord Saban has left.
Yes.
Like, I'll give you there's a lot I want to go with this Bama stuff, but let's do a vibe check here. 1, 2, 4, or 5. 1, 2, 4, or 5. Where are you on this basketball team? Here's Meechie Johnson from the other day talking about, Jen, do we have this? I should have asked you if we had it first. This is Meechie Johnson talking to the fans the other day after a game.
Shout out to the cockpit. They came and supported tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't come victorious, but they here. Columbia's here, and this is what I've talked about preseason, and I love it here. I love the fans, the support we get. Just keep staying with us. It's basketball. It's a long season. It's a lot of ups and downs. And again, we're not a team that just is going to take this loss and say our season's over. Like, we're going to get back in the lab and keep going. So, stay with us. And again, appreciate all fans coming out. I know it's a late game, but everybody being here late to support to the end.
Yeah, that's Meechie the other night. A couple of y'all weighing in. David goes with, he's, again, 1, 2, 4, or 5. 3 doesn't count. You can't send in 3. 1, 2, 4, or 5. David goes with a 4. I like what I'm seeing where Coach Paris is going. The losses I see as growing pains. Let me give you some statistics real quick. And let me start with the big one, because Alan weighs in and says people mistakenly downplay the importance of foul shooting, which has plagued the South Carolina basketball program for years. The good teams make their free throws. Free throws shouldn't be that hard for a college basketball player. It's true. He's right.
And Lamont stated the same thing. He said that. It's not even a hot take. Lamont said, hey, this is college. We should be able to make free throws. And I've never – I don't know if I've heard a coach say that before, because we all think that. And
I'll say one other. I watched Frank Martin last night, and I watched UMass, guy that we probably remember, who I really liked. I've watched Daniel Hankins-Sanford. UMass was up 2 with 10 seconds to go. Hankins-Sanford went to the foul line, missed a foul shot, Loyola Chicago came down, scored a basket with 1.1 seconds left, got fouled going back up. Their guy made a free throw, and they knocked off UMass by 1. Free throws are huge. But let me give you this statistic. 3-point shooting, as we all know, that's how this team's going to live or die. That's how this team is going to live or die, is 3-point shooting. They obviously need to make free throws as well. South Carolina in the non-conference, when the schedule was easier, when there wasn't as much athleticism, the non-conference 3-point shooting percentage for the Gamecocks was 34.8%. 34.8%. They've played 4 conference games. Do you know what do you want to take a ballpark guess? I'll give you a hint, me doing this. It is lower. Do you want to take a ballpark guess on
27?
Very good. You might have seen my sheet. 26.5%.
Round it up. Give me that. I'll take it.
26 in conference games.
Wait. Why was your first inclination since I was right, why was your first inclination to say you might have seen my sheet? That's ridiculous.
It's a really good sketch because that's a huge drop.
No. We're not talking about that anymore.
Because I had it right here in front of me. I didn't know if you looked over. So your first
inclination, when I get it right, you say you probably seen my sheet. Don't do that. Don't do that. I got it right. Give me my credit.
Well, yeah, I rounded up for you, but 26 of 98 from 3-point range. BJ Mack is 3 of 18 from 3-point range. Talon Cooper this is in conference play. Okay, this is in conference play. BJ Mack is 3 of 28. Talon Cooper, 3 of 18. Okay. 3 of 18, yeah, but that's still 16.7%.
Yeah, that's not great.
Talon Cooper's 4 of 14. We will maybe hear tonight the status of Miles Studi. Got to have him. He's got it. He's at least been shooting. He's 6 of 16 in conference play. Then you got Jacoby Wright in conference play is 2 of 9 from 3-point range, and Zach Davis 1 of 8.
Was that play that Miles Studi got hurt on? Was that on the edges of dirty, or was that just within the game? My basketball acumen isn't strong enough to be able to make that judgment.
I didn't think that the Georgia player did it. It was dirty, but I didn't think he did it on purpose. It was an arm bar, arm lock, but I did.
But this happens during the course of a game.
It can happen.
Something that
it can happen. Now there was a play later. It wasn't the same player. I believe it was Blue Kane who made a very dirty play and 2-hand shoved. They called a foul on it. I think they called a foul on it. Who 2-hand shoved one of our guys going up for a rebound. Look, I also the Michi Johnson play where he got the flagrant foul. It was dirty in the essence of it was dirty, but I didn't think he did it on purpose. Like, yes, both of them were. Oof, you watched them and you went, man, that doesn't look good.
Gotcha.
But I didn't think Michi's was done on purpose, and I did not think the play that was done to Miles Studi. I think they got tangled up going for a rebound. It looked like Studi got a little kind of congested in there and bumped around, and hopefully tonight.
But we can get tangled up, or I can tangle you up. You know what I'm saying? We can just accidentally get tangled up, or
Yeah, you're going in there.
I can get a little extra. And I don't have the specific eye enough to see whether or not that's what was happening.
I would say it's the equivalent of you tackling a quarterback and you wrapping his ankles and just holding onto his ankles. Nothing more, nothing less. Holding onto his ankles, but then somebody comes in and twists him.
Okay,
up top.
Cool. I got you.
Which is dirty, right? Like it looks bad. I'm trying to.
It's within the flow of the game. It's probably not the best thing, but I wouldn't consider it egregious.
Versus
taking that ankle and just
take it right,
rolling over, doing a little tiger roll on the ankle.
Yeah,
little gator roll on the ankle never always hurts somebody. So
But that's a huge. I agree with what everybody is saying about the free throw. South Carolina. In conference games, South Carolina right now 69.4% from the foul line, 59 of 85, and again a lot of that comes from Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's that. Again, we're not saying anything that Lamont hadn't said in his saying. That's not going to be good enough to win. He showed them that fact. They understand that. The only thing I don't know about free throws is you can't practice pressure, and so I guess you rely on your technique, and you try to take your technique from the practice gym to the game, but you can't simulate the type of pressure that's on you when you are coming to the line at the end of a game, games on the line. That's not something you can simulate. So they're gonna have to be able to get that done.
803-404-6100. Weigh in this morning. So we've got I'm going to read some text message real quick on our winter apparel, but let me get to some of these. Anonymous texter goes with 2. Goes with a 2. Says 15-3 overall is a moral victory, but when you break down the wins and losses, it's not as good as it seems. Georgia has been bad for years, but they're pretty good this year. I get where you're going. But then got smoked by Bama and lost to our rival. Raj weighs in this morning, just going with a 2 there as well. Daryl going with vibe check on men's team, a 4. Still excited for the future, not necessarily just this year. Coach Barris is building in a solid foundation.
This is interesting, and I think everybody's provided valid opinions so far.
Yeah, so keep them coming. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in if you want to do that this morning. Coach G going with our winter apparel. Top the depth chart, golf wind shirt jacket. I get what he's going. You wear I used to wear those a lot too. 2, Columbia full zip vest, and 3, maybe a hoodie. Anonymous texter, my go-to is my hoodie and my electric hand warmers.
Oh.
Very good. Very good. Another anonymous texter weighs in with leather bomber jacket, hands down the best.
My man.
There you go.
I like it.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Your vibe check on the men's basketball team, 1, 2, 4, or 5. And if you got a reason behind it, send it in. I appreciate the texter playing along and switching from a 3 to a 2.
That's exactly the point. And that's the whole point of the exercise. If you're saying 3, that's not really the truth. The truth is it's probably either a 2 or maybe a 4.
I agree.
So, yes, thank you for playing along.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll get into a little bit of Alabama football as well, because I ask you, you start looking at some of the things happening, new coach. I'm not saying it's not going to be a tough game.
Can we run that message board genius?
We'll get to that as well, because, Alabama's kind of falling apart a little bit. 803-404-6100, you're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Zero Res. Now is the time. It's winter. It's cold. It's the perfect time to make sure your house is being kept nice and clean, and you can do that with Zerez carpet and air duct cleaning. That's right. That's the only company I allow into my house with their patented ZR water technology, which is scientifically proven to keep the carpets, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery all insanely clean, and they do it with no sticky, soapy residue, so you can feel comfortable with the kids rolling around on the carpet, with the pets rolling around, and even you. When there's a tough basketball loss, you too can roll around on the carpet and feel perfectly safe. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, and schedule an appointment today. Right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $109. But when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Again, that's 803-262-4020, or schedule online, ZeroSColumbia.com. Zero, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Real quick, want to update you on some traffic happenings. Meeting Street at the Gervais Street Bridge, there is an accident with injuries, so that's going to be slowing things down. Again, Meeting Street at the Gervais Street Bridge. Also, Bluff Road at I-77, Congress at Garner's Ferry Road, Decker Boulevard near Brookfield Road, I-20 eastbound at Monticello Road, Summit Parkway at Hardscrabble. Two more to let you know about: Broad River Road at St. Andrews and Highway 601 at Screaming Eagle Road. We're looking for a high today of 55 under sunny skies, overnight low of 36. It's a chilly 24 right now in the early game.
Plenty of topics for you to weigh in on this morning, one of which is right now your South Carolina men's basketball vibe check. Where do you stand? 1, 2, 4, or 5? Hope going with definitely a 4. York saying 4. Vicky going, I'm a high 4, so almost a 5. Seems like it's got to push that level up a little bit to get some people to some 5. So if you want to weigh in on that, Jim going with 4. Also, BJ Mack needs to stop shooting threes. He's at his best in the post. We don't need him trying to be a guard. We've got good 3-point shooters. He's not one of them. 2 of 11 the last 2 games. That's where he weighs in. Marv going with 5 this morning. So he said, I thought we'd still be a sub-500 team. I thought it would take Coach Paris longer to turn things around. I'm very impressed with our coach. Anonymous texter going with 4. Really like Coach's style and demeanor. And we do like his demeanor.
I do. Like I said, every time I listen to him talk, I learn more about basketball. I learn about what he's doing, and most importantly, he communicates very clearly what he is trying to do. And I appreciate that from a coach.
Let's see. This is Jerry going with, I give the men's basketball team a 2 for this current year, but a 4 for the future.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to break it down, and I can see that.
There you go. 803-404-601. And Raj asks, what do y'all give them?
Yeah, I would probably lean towards 4. I would probably lean towards 4. And my basis for that 4 is considering what we were talking about or what we weren't talking about last year and where this program was and that the product that was on the court last year. This year is, to me, very vastly improved, competitive, and I'm in it for the ride. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I do think the ride is actually exciting. I
actually give it a 5, and that's because, and maybe this is sad because of the last 3 years, 3 years. I've kind of right now made it appointment television to be there 1 o'clock on Saturday. I don't like this matchup for South Carolina. I don't have a good feel. I don't feel good about this, but that's not going to dampen my spirit. It's kind of why I was hesitant earlier to say that this is a must-win. But I'm interested to see them play. Look, going into the season, I thought South Carolina would lose one somewhere that they shouldn't lose because of shooting. When you're as reliant on the 3, they lost that game to Georgia. That's kind of my one now that I'm looking at going, probably shouldn't have lost that one, but because you didn't shoot it well, 6 of 26 from 3-point range, 17 of 32 from the foul line, you lost that one. It wouldn't shock me for this team, for a big crowd to be there next Tuesday night against Kentucky. Hopefully more South Carolina than Kentucky, but it wouldn't surprise me for a big crowd, for Michi Johnson to have a big night, if Miles Studi is healthy to have a big night, and to knock off Kentucky. It really would. I would be more surprised if South Carolina beat Arkansas on the road this Saturday, 1 o'clock, Fayetteville. Again, you can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game, Myrtle Beach. I'd be more surprised if they beat Arkansas than I would if they beat Kentucky.
That's an interesting take. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
I think that they can win. I love my money, and financially I wouldn't go out and bet anybody. But the point being is, I think at home they can get fired up. I think that they can get on one of those hot shooting nights, and the next thing you know, it's into the final 2 or 3 minutes. Kentucky freaks out, the crowd's behind South Carolina, and they win. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Well, Minchie did make mention of the cockpit, the students being there, the crowd being there, even for a late tip-off on a weekday. So the crowd, it feels like people want to throw their support behind a team, obviously that one wins, but probably two secondarily. I know we just came off the moral victory conversation, but a team that's competing. And I think we've seen this team compete.
Yeah,
you remember last year? I mean, they got blown out by 40 points, right across the street, and we haven't seen that this year. And hopefully we won't. But that doesn't seem like it's in the cards for this team this year.
803-404-6100. Keep them coming. I'll read these, and we got a lot of outerwear attire we've got to get to as well. We'll get to that as well. Let's get out real quick to the Love Chevy phone lines. David wants to weigh in this morning. David, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing well. Basketball, I give it a solid 4. I like the way Lamont has the team reaching out to the fans. The two questions I have is, number one, has there been a definitive reason why Eric Bieniemy can't get a shot? And two, talking about House of Horrors and stuff of that nature, Preston, how many times did you get the speech of the coach saying, I went and looked, their field is the same as ours? Appreciate what y'all do. Take it off there.
Appreciate the call. Coach Holtz's main thing was no matter how many of them are on the stands, they can't come on the field and fight you. So it's only going to be us playing on this. So that was always his thing. No matter how many of them there are out there, there's only going to be 22 on the field. So yes, very similar statement. Appreciate you calling. The Airbnb is interesting because as we read the candidates, you did not see his name in those candidates that we've seen. I don't know why he didn't get a shot previous to this point. He is coming off a season that wasn't very successful with the Commanders. That might be something, but I do think that's an interesting question because it's almost like once he got that position as the offensive coordinator, it seems like his name has dropped out of head coaching conversations. And that is a very good point. I don't have a solid answer to that.
Yeah, that's the good and the bad sometimes of working with a great coach. It's kind of like it would always be quite funny with Steve Spurrier is when an offense played good at South Carolina. It was like, oh, Spurrier's definitely calling the plays. And when they struggled, they're like, Spurrier gave up play call to his son.
Yeah.
That bum.
Yeah, and that's a very great point, Bill, because what we know here is that, yes, Steve Spurrier got the billboard and all the acclaim, but we know G.A. Magnus had a huge role in those offenses that were really clicking. We know he was either advising, calling, scheming. So sometimes when you're working underneath a coach who's a great coach like Eric Bieniemy was for Andy Reid, people have the tendency to say, "Oh well, that was just Andy. That was just Andy."
Exactly.
Reid. But also, we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs offense sputter with Eric Bieniemy not being there. So maybe it was just them working together. But to the point, I don't know. It seems like this hiring cycle, I have not seen his name, and I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, let me get to some of these Firehouse Subs text messages. Anonymous texter says Chiefs offense fell off.
There you go.
Without Bieniemy. Steve says you have to believe that he doesn't interview well. I always wonder about that. If that's I mean, I'm sure it's part of the equation, but when you interview well, like, do people just say, well, he's just not good with the public? Does he not seem to come across as having a true plan? What is it? Because if you know ball, you know ball.
Right.
If you can go out and coach, Dan Campbell is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how his passion and intensity would come across in an interview, if that makes sense. Because earlier on, wasn't he talking about like biting the ankles?
We're going to bite their kneecaps and then we're going to bite their ankles and we're going to come back and bite them again. Imagine that in a boardroom and they're like, Mr. Campbell, I don't know if that's what I don't know what that translates to when you say that he does an interview well. That could be a myriad of things. But when you see his results on the field, you hear his players talking about him, you hear his endorsement from Andy Reid, that seems like it would be enough to at least get him a shot. But I don't know. I don't know.
803-404-6100 is how you can, again, weigh in this morning. Brad going with 1A for his outerwear, winterwear, quarter zip, 1B hoodie. He says, that's it. I'm a simple man. We live in South Carolina. I don't own a real coat.
Okay.
Les going with full zip flannel vest, quilted inside.
Okay, full zip flannel. All right.
Anonymous texter, pea coat, flannel shirt, coat, and hoodie.
A stylish fella.
Nick going with my number one overall would depend on how cold it is. Hoodie and a Carhartt jacket is all I wear.
Working man.
Another anonymous texter, I'm a big hoodie guy, but my wife is a vote for crew necks.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
And anonymous texter says 12 volt battery in a jacket sounds like a fire hazard.
I need to see the functionality of how that actually works.
I've seen one again. Yeah, it's a jacket. It's just been charged. It's got like it's just like almost like an electric blanket. You're good.
Charge my jacket before I leave.
Yeah, that's a bummer. 803-404-6100. We'll get into a few other topics as well. We'll keep your vibe checks going. I got those coming in. Your depth chart for winter outerwear. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
All right, y'all. It's really cold outside, so you're probably not going to be setting yourself up to be watching TV outside. But guess what? Spring and summer is on the way. Baseball season is coming, and you need to get yourself ready to set outside. So who better to call than our folks at Integrated Media, where you can get your outdoor setup ready for the spring and summer when the beautiful, better weather is with us. You can get Samsung Terrace TVs. You can get them waterproof outdoor speakers, Sonos for water, for TV and music, and Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. And most importantly, my favorite, controlling all your devices from just one remote. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat or monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. Call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or check them out online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning. Got a lot going on here. Anonymous texter goes with, and I'm not sure, puffer jacket, coat for the win.
Solid.
Puffer jacket, yep. Those are, again, I think I might be leaning more toward, but I think it's more of spring apparel.
When you talking about that vest you were talking about
That vest,
earlier?
yeah.
You obviously can get them in different materials. You can get a more flannel. You can get a puffer one. You can get a lighter material. You can do a bunch of things with that.
Yeah. You gotta was out with some friends the other day, and again a buddy of mine, Chris Staten, was wearing one. I thought, well, if he can pull it off, I think I got a chance. You ever done that? You look at somebody and you're like, oh, they seem to be pulling it off well.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure if he can do that, I've got a chance.
Isn't that just what we do on the internet every day? Like, okay, I could try that.
Anonymous texter weighs in. Did we figure out how many suits Coach Paris has? We do need to investigate that.
Well, if we go back, if we run the tape, he said that he did have a bunch of suits.
Really?
And we said that his suits, I assume his suits are getting very lonely in his closet. And by my scouting report, just from what I scout, I look at the waves in his head. I look at him hand washing his car.
True.
He seems like a man that wears a suit well, one, and has a lot of them. And I wonder if he's backed himself into this corner with his quarter zip where it's like, man,
I think he kind of indicated that, like you were saying, that he's like, yeah, I got all the suits, but I kind of have to do this.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It's stuck. You got to run.
You just got to go with it.
At least for this year. Maybe next year he can break, but this is it for this year.
Well, one man who has got a lot of fashion, and that fashion still has to resonate in college football, Division III level, mind you. Jerry Glanville. Does everybody remember Jerry Glanville? Now, this was the guy. I didn't pull the audio. I wasn't going to make Tyler do that yesterday. But Jerry Glanville has been hired for Northwestern Oklahoma State. Now, that's not the point of all this. Number one, Jerry Glanville was a very interesting character. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's extremely fair.
82 years of age. He's not ready to hang him up, Preston Thorne. He started coaching 1967. He was the defensive coordinator at Western Kentucky. And now he's hanging on tight, Northwestern Oklahoma State Division III.
Yeah. Shout out to Jerry Glanville. A throwback, not just in age, but to a time when football coaches were actually interesting. You know, when he was with the Falcons, he wearing all black on the sidelines. He would leave a ticket for Elvis every game just in case
he denied that.
Show up. He says he didn't do that.
That's what I was going to say is I had the audio of it, and I didn't know if it would resonate this morning. I didn't know how much time we were going to spend on it, so I didn't want to make Tyler do extra work last night. But there's a story. He says he did it one time.
Oh, okay. I didn't do it all the time. I just did it once.
He said he did it once in Atlanta. They were playing in Memphis. They were playing in Memphis in a preseason game, and that they were honoring Elvis that night. And he said, just being a good guy, he left Elvis a ticket. And that he said, and after I did it once, everybody thought I just did it.
Misunderstanding.
Every time.
The classical misunderstanding.
It's either that or he got so tired of that story, he was like, well, he did it once.
Yeah, I mean, but aside from that, he had interesting teams with Atlanta, the run and shoot, Andre Rison. They were always full of characters. A really interesting guy. And I long for the days when coaches were actually interesting, right? Because now we get coaches that just get up there and we're on to the next game. We're going to try our hardest. Next play, blah, blah, blah. Not Jerry Glanville. Always had a good soundbite. Always very interesting. Never knew what you would see on the sidelines with him. So I miss the days of coaches actually having a personality.
Jen, are you familiar with Jerry Glanville?
I am not.
Did you know? Here's a Did You Know segment this morning. Did you know this? Jerry Glanville began racing by learning from 7-time Winston Cup Series champion Dale Earnhardt. And Jerry Glanville actually participated in 6 races over 2 years around 1992 in the Xfinity Series. He also raced in the Craftsman Truck Series, 27 races over 5 years, and the ARCA Menard Series. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, ARCA, that's kind of where you go in and then maybe go to trucks, and then Xfinity, then Cup. Mm-hmm. Wow,
So-
I had no idea that
hanging around, not letting it go.
not doing stuff.
That's Jerry Glanville's the type of person, and anybody that knows these type of people, man, you would just want to sit around and talk to this dude, because I would imagine the stories that he has, and he seems like somebody who can tell a very good story, never knowing if which part is the truth or which part is a lie. But that is somebody I would want to sit around and have a drink with Jerry Glanville for sure.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, speaking of NASCAR and what you were talking about yesterday with Peacock, NASCAR will air 5 races this season, per season, but this season on Prime Video beginning in the summer. Next year, beginning in the summer of 2025. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's a new partnership.
Yeah. Stephen Garcia coming up in the next hour. Also, vibe checks and outerwear. It's the early game.
All right, taking a peek at traffic conditions out there. First thing this morning, we are looking at a few things going on. Congress Road at Garner's Ferry, also Decker at Brookfield. Meeting Street at Gervais Street Bridge, there's an accident with injuries, so that's going to really impact the traffic flow this morning. Also, Highway 6 at Bush River Road, I-20 eastbound at Monticello Road, I-26 eastbound after St. Andrews Road. Also, downtown Columbia, North Main near Albemarle Street. And Old Cherokee Road at North Lake Drive, there is an accident. So do be careful out there this morning. Oh, one more to tell you about. Broad River Road at St. Andrews Road. Looking for a high today of 55.
Eight o'clock hour here. 107.5 The Game here in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, and 100.5 The Game in Florence. Appreciate everybody weighing in with their vibe checks this morning. As we ask you, going into the weekend, South Carolina right now rolling along. They're in good shape. There's nothing wrong with where they're at. 14-3 on the season, 2-2 in conference. Obviously, that loss on Tuesday night hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, would have liked to have gotten that one.
If you're sitting 3-1, I'd be interested because let me read you a few more of these. Joel says, men's vibe check 2. Says, while I'm encouraged by Paris, I don't think we can talk about growth of a program nearly as much these days in college sports. It's a good point, and I'll bring this up in a second. You have no idea what your team's going to look like year to year, especially at a program like South Carolina. If you have a chance to make the tournament, you've got to strike now because you could go back to stinking next year, as we all know. Losing to Georgia put them behind the 8 ball.
Fair point. Definitely a very, not even fair. That's a great point, actually. It doesn't change my feeling, but I understand that totally.
Richard weighs in. Jerry Glanville has to be about 120 years old. He was old when he was with the Falcons.
Well, sometimes when you're younger, you think somebody who was older, they turn out they're not as old as you thought they were. But, yeah, I do understand where you're coming from with that.
And LaDonna weighs in. Warm outerwear for South Carolina. Goes with North Face type jacket. Got to have pockets. And then have hot hands in the pockets. And then goes with the quarter button undershirt, a Henley shirt.
Nice. Good call with the Henley. Good call with the Henley.
There you go. So keep them coming. We got your vibe checks. We got your winter outerwear and anything else, Jerry Glanville or anything else you want to weigh in this morning. 803-404-6100 is how you can do so. Need to tell you about Mid-State Roofing. Owner, founder, Larry Leitner. Well, for nearly 30 years, Leitner and his family have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Mid-State Roofing's proven history is your assurance that their professionals will provide proper advice, service, and results to the needs of you and your facility. They'll do it in both a safe and pleasing manner. So go ahead, give them a phone call today. If you are in the need for commercial roofing needs, if you need maintenance, anywhere it may be, Myrtle Beach, Florence, maybe outside of the Columbia area, Mid-State Roofing has got you taken care of. 803 I almost gave you our phone number. Don't call our phone number. 803-356-1919, or you can visit them on the web, midstateroofing.com. You'll speak with a on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing member. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is there to take care of your needs. So if you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. 803-356-1919. Preston, we got Stephen Garcia coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll get into some NIL stuff with him, but I start with this because right now, I don't know what the perception of Alabama is in the NIL game. I don't know what the perception is. Were they getting a bunch of high-end recruits just because they would sell the opportunity to practice every day against NFL players? I've told the story of being at an AAU basketball tournament and John Calipari selling Stanley Jackson, who would end up going to Arizona, or trying to sell Stanley Jackson's father on The games are great at Kentucky, but the reason you come to Kentucky is to practice against 9 other NBA players every day and prepare yourself for your future profession, which is the NBA.
That's a solid sales pitch.
And I think to an extent, Nick Saban was able to sell something similar.
Yeah, I think what Alabama is finding out is that people were coming to play for Saban. They weren't coming to play for Alabama. And I think there's a very distinct difference because for so long, Saban was synonymous with Alabama for 17 years or however long he was there. But there was a difference. People were going to play for Saban and what Saban could do, but not necessarily for the University of Alabama. And I think Alabama as a whole is finding that out, that they are separate from what the institution of Saban was.
And look, I think it's no secret on this program. I think I have, for 7 months, promoted properly my love for Kalen DeBoer. I honestly think Alabama made the best hire that they could make. That would, if I'd have picked any coach, I'm not sure he's not the best coach in the country, as stupid as that may sound right now. Give him more time. Let's see what happens. But let me read to you what Alabama is losing currently, because it's glaring. Now, this is just off of last year's team, and this is a combination of people entering the NFL draft, graduating, and entering the transfer portal. Alabama, to date, has lost 15 of 22 starters. All right? They have lost 3 starting offensive linemen. Their top 2 running backs. They've lost all 3 starting wide receivers, including Isaiah Bond, who is transferring. Not going to the pros. He's flat transferring. Jermaine Burton's going to the pros. Isaiah Bond has said, nope, I'm good. I'm getting out of here.
Transferring to?
Is it Texas?
I thought you said Isaiah Bond. He was transferring.
Oh, he's going to Auburn?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I didn't have that right in front of me, but I knew he was transferring. For some reason, I was thinking it's Texas. Yeah. Going to Auburn. Which, let's go back to this for a second, which brings me back to our tweet of the morning. This is straight off of Message Board Genius. You can check them on Twitter at Board Geniuses. And yesterday, Alabama fans, and actually, okay, they've actually posted a new one. You ready for the new one?
Okay.
This is another Alabama fan on 24/7 Sports. Says, this is literally breaking my heart. Oh. He starts with, literally breaking my heart. Oh. I never, ever thought Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor would turn their backs on Bama. Oh. I can't believe the disloyalty of these young men.
Oh, man.
These parents should be ashamed of themselves. The way they raised their children to be all about me instead of team players, and this includes Isaiah Bond and others, too. I am not just referring to Caleb and Caden.
Just in case you had a mistaken, this is for everybody. Welcome to the world, Alabama. This is we've been here.
This was the other one we read this morning because Alabama's being welcomed. This is another Alabama fan. This is Roll Tide 1987. I'm done with major college football, at least until things get fixed. With Downs and Proctor now both in the portal, it has become clear to me how now more than ever the spirit of college football is dead and gone. These players are nothing more than guns for hire and aren't even loyal to their teammates. They see dollar signs and split. Isaiah Bond became an Alabama legend with his catch in the Iron Bowl. He would have never had to pay for a meal in Birmingham or Tuscaloosa ever again. Now he's on his way to play for a rival SEC school. I just don't care at all anymore for what college football has evolved into. It's all about money now, and I'm tired of it. ESPN has ruined the sport, as have these other networks that have injected hundreds of millions of dollars into the sport.
Oh, man. Now the sport is ruined. Now this thing has been going wrong. This is like a fascinating case study because this happens all the time where people have been telling anybody about, hey, this is happening. This is what's going on. Like, yeah, right, whatever. And then you get into that situation, you're like, this is an outrage. I don't understand what's going on. You can apply that across the board on a lot of different things. But yeah, welcome to the rest of the world, Alabama. It's cool down here. It's fun. You'll still enjoy it.
Alabama also yesterday, I believe, or Alabama has also lost one of their top recruits as Ryan Williams, the number 9 wide receiver number 9 recruit, one of the top receivers, has decommitted from Alabama, will sign on February signing day.
Bill, you read off the paper. You've been reading off the internet. You've missed the biggest loss from Alabama. The biggest loss.
What is that?
Their defensive back coach.
I didn't know they tried to go and get him back.
Which might be a minus on Kalen DeBoer. Might be a minus.
Yeah.
They even interviewed, if you didn't know, Travarius Robinson has left Alabama to go to meet up with his buddy at Georgia. So despite all the players losing, recruits, all of that, somebody on Message Boards Genius need to go and talk to these coaches, because what is Alabama going to do next year without Travarius Robinson as their DB coach?
Yes, that's again. Well, and again, to finish that point, what I was making, they have all four of the secondary are gone.
I'm interested.
Again, different reasons, but yes, all 4 are gone. And so, by the way, Alabama has had a lot of transfers. I mean, as I just read, and let me go back, because somebody does say Isaiah Bond transferred to Texas.
Okay.
I thought it was Texas. Went to Texas. I mean, they've lost a linebacker to Texas. They've lost a tight end, a safety to Georgia as well. They've lost a running back to Florida State. They aren't losing guys to UAB.
Yeah, I know the offensive tackle is going back to Iowa. I believe he was from Iowa. He was a freshman, all SEC, and he's going back to Iowa, which is, I guess there's hope in Iowa because there'll be a new offensive coordinator. But that's interesting.
Alabama has picked up 3 transfers, though, so don't feel too bad about them. But
you do not have to worry about Preston shedding tears for the University of Alabama or its fans.
Again, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what Alabama's going to look like. But I also, and I say I'm not 100% sure. I think Kalen DeBoer will work. And it seems like a match made in heaven. But as you just talked about, yeah, this is a situation here where Alabama's kind of looking around like, wait, this has been going on? We just weren't getting? We weren't taking other teams' players?
That is a great statement. You mean to tell me this has been going on? Yes. The whole time? Yes. How could you live like this? We've been trying to tell you.
When you're taking Jamar Gibbs and all these other guys, and you're at Jermaine Burton from Georgia, and you're happy about this is what's been happening out here. 803-404-6100. Speaking of NIL, I'm kind of fascinated to have this conversation as it pertains to NIL, because Stephen Garcia was one of the more popular players around South Carolina. He played in an era where those guys could have commanded a lot of money, and it's the best era of South Carolina football. What if it happened in the NIL era? What if it happened? 803-404-6100. We'll catch up with Stephen Garcia when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game.
Preston, let me tell you about my friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. They'll come out to you and give you a free quote for any job. That means wherever you are, whether you're at school, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, third location, wherever you will be, Absolute Glass will come out to you. Now, if it's a cracked windshield on your car, that's no problem. They'll come to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. They will come there, give you a quote, do the job, take away the headache. You don't have to worry about anything. Now, if you're sitting at home and you're looking to increase the value of your spot, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say it once, I say it again. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Pretty busy out on the highways this morning. Meeting Street at the Gervais Street Bridge, there is an accident with injuries, so that's going to slow things down significantly this morning. Congress at Garner's Ferry, also Decker Boulevard at near Brookfield Road, Fish Hatchery Road near Casa Del Road. We're also looking at a tie-up Highway 6 at Bush River Road. I-20 eastbound at Monticello. In Gaston, Mack Street at Main Street. In Columbia, North Main Street near Albemarle Street. And Old Cherokee Road near North Lake Drive in Lexington. A couple more. We have Broad River Road at Bush River Road and 321 near Glen Road.
$8:18 as we get you up and get you going today on a Thursday morning, a chilly Thursday morning. Hope you are staying warm. Hope you are enjoying your morning as we get you ready for the weekend. A lot that we've kind of talked about. Vibe check on men's basketball, 1, 2, 4, or 5. You can continue to send that in. Your preferred outerwear during the winter. You started with quarter zip or sweater, and it's evolved into now all kinds of jackets, and
that's what it's supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to. We set the tone, and then everybody takes it. So I appreciate you all joining in. We've had a variety of responses.
We have,
and my interest just really is how prevalent the quarter zip has become, and seeing where that takes us.
There you go. Yep. Joined now by former South Carolina quarterback Stephen Garcia. Stephen, what would have Steve Spurrier's outerwear been for one of the colder games? I'm trying to think, what did Spurrier win at the Birmingham Bowl in what, 09, 010?
I don't have the slightest damn clue, to be honest with you. I think he just wore a regular sweatshirt, to be honest.
Yeah, Columbia, we are experiencing very cold weather for us up here at this time of year. So when it gets this cold, we act like we've never seen anything like it before and completely lose our mind. Thank goodness,
it's
Preston.
like that down here, too.
Yeah, well, thank goodness they didn't cancel school today.
Yeah, it's not quite cold enough for that, but a couple of degrees later, we'll be here.
Welcome in, buddy. Good to hear from you. Hope everything's going well. Real quick, let's get your take. As a former football player, a guy who faced off against Nick Saban, you knew it had to come to an end at some point. What was your take hearing last week that Nick Saban was stepping away?
To be honest, I kind of couldn't believe it. We were doing some remodeling and some renovations around the house, and I had my 16-year-old helping me, and I'm like, dude, get off your damn phone. Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, man, I can't believe it. Nick Saban just retired. I was like, who the hell cares? Get back to work. And but, yeah, so I was kind of taken back. I thought it was like a joke or something, just, you know, all that Twitter stuff works. But yeah, I was kind of taken back. But, I mean, at the same time, it's like, I don't think that guy wants to deal with chasing these college kids around and, you know, having to shake hands and kiss babies and trying to raise as much money to pay these guys. It's got to be exhausting.
So one of the reasons we wanted to have you on and talk about it is you were put out a tweet the other day and you showcased yourself still signing autographs and doing things. You obviously were a very popular player. It's not been that long ago, Stephen. It's not like we're talking 2 decades ago or things of that nature. What did you gain from being loyal to this university when you put out a picture like that and you show yourself signing autographs and you come back up here and people still are wanting to take pictures with you and talk to you and just kind of relive everything that you were? What's that like for you at your age now with having that loyalty that you gave to a university, what I can only assume is being reciprocated to you now?
I mean, it's kind of wild, especially with as much, you know, drama as I caused during my tenure there. Yeah, it is wild. Never in a million years did I expect that, and you know, who knows what would have changed had, you know, I've been around in this day and age with the NIL, and just really how much money some of these kids are making. But at the end of the day, it's funny. I was talking to Brian Glenn earlier this morning, and I was playing golf with the starting quarterback at Holy Cross, and his head coach just went to JMU, and I was sitting talking with him, and beating his ass on the golf course, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, dude, why didn't you go there? What were they going to pay? And he's like, yeah, they're going to pay me $50,000 a year, and I'm like, there's adults that don't make $50,000 a year. Like, why would you not do that? And he's like, dude, these guys in the locker room, these are my best friends. These are guys that I want in my wedding. These are guys that I'm going to have, lifelong friends with. And, it's not worth $50,000. So, I think that's really the answer is, it's just, I'm a loyal guy, and I wanted to stay at South Carolina. I wanted to play for Coach Barrett, and that's what I told him. When I got in trouble a few times, and he was like, you can transfer if you want to. I won't block you from going to any SEC schools, but it's up to you. And I said, Coach, I committed to play here. I want to play here. I want to finish my career here. Obviously it didn't finish the way I wanted it to, but it is what it is. But I'm happy with the decisions that I made.
The other question would be is how you think NIL would have affected the teams you played on. And you can speak to that if it was different these days. Do you think that South Carolina in particular is able to make that run that they had during your time from 09 to 13 with some of the high-profile guys, the Lattimores, the Jeffries, the Clowneys? You can go with the Swearingers. Do you think that would have changed the dynamic of that football team?
It's hard to say, but I honestly don't think so. That locker room was it was unbelievable, and that's really truthfully the thing that I miss the most is being around with the guys in the locker room and kind of shooting the breeze and just kind of clowning around. We had a phenomenal locker room, and guys, the difference is that they wanted to be in Columbia. They wanted to make their own legacy. They wanted to do something in Columbia that's really never been done before, and since hasn't been done. So, and that's go to the SEC championship game, and it's hard to say. With I'm sure Clowney, Lattimore, Alshon, DJ, Stefan. I'm sure those guys would have got paid a lot of money, to transfer and go somewhere else. But I don't think that they would do that, to be honest. You still see these guys tweeting about being once a Gamecock, always a Gamecock, and I feel like that's how that locker room really was.
Stephen Garcia joining us this morning. Now let's go back even a little bit further. How do you think NIL would have influenced your recruitment? Steve Spurrier, kind of like we're seeing with Nick Saban, was a rock star and maybe a guy that you wanted to meet, and then you said, okay, I kind of like this guy, I want to play there. But if you go back and what you're seeing now with these ridiculous numbers, what happened at Florida last year with Jaden Rashada, what you've heard about with the young man at Tennessee, and you see some of these numbers, how do you take that in recruiting? But not from when you were playing, but in recruiting, and what do you see from that?
It's unbelievable, to be honest. I'm sort of dealing with it with the quarterback training and trying to find the best place for some of the guys that are juniors and seniors right now in high school, and even guys in the transfer portal. It's like who's giving you the most money, and that's just what it comes down to, unfortunately, right now. And obviously there's some guys that are like, look, this is my dream school. I don't care if it's, $10,000. I don't care if it's $100,000. This is where I want to go. This is where I see myself playing. I've always been a fan, dream school type deal. But for the most part, man, a lot of these guys are just, they're, as they say, they're chasing the bag. It's absolutely insane how much some of these kids are getting offered, and they've never played a snap of college football. They were good in high school, and they're getting offered all these hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to commit to a school, and it's baffling.
Stephen Garcia joining us this morning. We'll take a break. Stephen, we'll come back, get you for a few more minutes on the other side. A few more questions we have for you, and we'll cut up with you a little bit, too, as well. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen, joined this morning by Stephen Garcia. It's the early game. Yes, we've complained this morning. I've in particularly whined more than I typically do, but I do that when it's cold. And boy, if you think I just do it to Jen and to you listening, you should hear me when I'm at the house because I hate being cold. That's why about a year ago, I had AAA Heating and Air come out to the house, put a brand new heating and air unit in at the house. And it's been absolutely fantastic. Last summer, when it was blazing hot, kept us nice and cool. But more importantly, this week, it's kept us nice and warm. And AAA Heating and Air, they took care of my family. They will do the exact same for you. And if you're worried about cost, you're wanting a new heating and air unit, but you're worried about cost, don't be. With their guaranteed financing options, comfort is always within your budget, especially with their new special 12 months, no payments or interest in 2024. Plus, you can enjoy the assurance of a 15-year parts and labor warranty. If you're ready for an instant quote, give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. That's AAA Heating and Air. Call them today.
Definitely busy out on the highways. We'll try to get to as many here as we can. There's Highway 6 at Bush River Road, an accident there. Also North Main at Albemarle Street. 321 near Glen Road. Broad River Road at Bush River Road, still working that. Old Cherokee Road near North Lake Drive, an accident. I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove Road, the left lane is currently blocked. Meeting Street at Gervais Street Bridge, an accident with injuries, so careful there. Also, been a couple reports of black ice across the Midlands. So just be careful this morning if you would. 55 for the high, 36 for the overnight low. 53 tomorrow, overnight low of 22. Gets even colder for the weekend, but it's 25 right now on the early game.
.32 as we get you up and get you going here, joined by Stephen Garcia as I personally just think I was looking at your tweet the other day and I thought your personality, but not just your personality, but the people you had around you made for interesting personalities. I remember having to interview all of y'all and talk to you. And back then, I didn't think Alshon was the best talker of the group. I don't know if we intimidated him or what, but Alshon was never the best. You obviously were quite quotable. Marcus was really good. But Preston's got a question for you on what would be your go-to today. There you go, Preston.
NIL division. Obviously, we can't do alcohol, but based on your career, what do you think would have been the best partnership for Stephen Garcia to be endorsing at the time?
Oh, man. Well, obviously you took the main thing away. If we're all being honest.
We can be creative. Maybe Pedialyte?
So maybe that may be a good one, actually.
Okay.
a little hangover cure or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that might have worked. So we have a deal. We can either offer you the Pedialyte deal or the Body Shop deal. Which one do you think would have been better for you?
I think the Pedialyte would have made a little more sense, I think. But it's crazy right now. I'm watching the news, and they're saying there's a survey on endorsement deals for high school athletes. So not only do we have to do the NIL for college guys, now it's starting to trickle down into high school in Florida. The whole thing is crazy, man. It's wild. I mean, what timing right now?
Yeah, you mentioned a guy earlier. I know it was a little off of it, but where you would have gone with your NIL, and that's a guy you said you talked to earlier this morning. What was the go-to pizza at Village Idiot?
I mean, anything really. I mean, the pizza was phenomenal, and anything with the ranch. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I'm a meat lovers guy, so I'm sure Brian, probably is well aware of that. But yeah, that's some of the best damn pizza you could eat for sure.
Take me back. You've matured. You've come a long way. But if you can put yourself back into 16 or 17-year-old Stephen Garcia, how much advice are you taking from family and friends these days with NIL, and how much is it all about you and what you want?
Oh man, that's a tough question, to be honest. I mean, I still don't take a whole lot of advice to this day, but back then I definitely took a lot less. But I mean, it's when you start talking about, hundreds of thousands and, sometimes millions of dollars for some of these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids that are getting a chance to, make that much money and not even take a snap of college football. I mean, it definitely changes your perspective on, things and what you want to do. And, then, my dad's obviously in the financial world, so he would have helped me out a lot, and I would have been able to listen and pay attention a little more to that. But it's tough. That's a very tough question. I mean, it's hard to tell an 8-year-old kid that's, getting offered a couple $1 million anything and have him listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have you on. It's such a crazy world, and it evolved so quickly here the last few years. We'll get you a few other things. Number one, I saw on Twitter, I saw on X, whatever we're calling it, that you reached out to Alshon Jeffrey to remind him that his Eagles might struggle this weekend. Did you get anything situated with Alshon Jeffrey for his Eagles versus your Bucks?
Nope, and that's a perfect time for me to talk about the freaking cut betting app that I'm kind of working with, man. It's crazy. I asked him, I said, dude, it's the Bucks are going to hammer these guys. I mean, the Eagles are on a downslope in a horrible way, and the Bucs are playing really good ball. So, whatever you want to bet, man, let me know. And the conversation kind of ended. So that's why I got to get on cut. So once that's done, it's done.
Yep, Sim Harmon and that group do a very good little job. I actually coached Sim in basketball back in the day.
No kidding.
Good.
No kidding. He's a good dude, man.
Good kid. Very good kid, and is doing a great little job there. How do you see the NFL playoffs this weekend with all the games going on? Of the 8 teams, I think it was the 8. I can't remember what stat I gave yesterday.
Better question. You, out of the quarterbacks left, give me who you're taking. Who's the best quarterback playing right now?
I was going to go with that with fantasy, yeah.
The best quarterback playing right now, well, over the last few weeks, I think is Lamar Jackson. He's absolutely playing lights out. But I think it's hard to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. I was talking with a kid yesterday playing golf. I think his touchdown to interception ratio in the playoffs is like 10 or 11 to 1, which is just absolutely insane. Yeah, it's hard for me to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. That being said, his first away game in the playoffs, Josh Allen's playing really well. It's going to be a good weekend of football, and I'm excited about it. There's a bunch of good quarterbacks playing right now.
So give me who are you going? Not necessarily the best quarterback then, but if your fantasy pick for best stats this weekend, if you were doing that with Cut, who are you going with the best fantasy pick?
Oh man, that's tough. I want to stay indoors, so I think either golf or Baker. I think they're gonna have a pretty good. And they're playing lights out too. They're all playing well, and it's hard to throw a ball when it's freezing cold, and God only knows what the weather's going to be like in Buffalo and Baltimore. So I'm going indoors somewhere.
What makes it so, Stephen? What makes it so difficult to throw a ball in the cold weather? What's the differences?
The ball's just hard as a freaking rock. It's slicker than cat poop. It's really hard to get a grip. But some of these guys obviously have bigger hands, so it makes it a little bit easier. But it's tough, man. And you get hit and you fall on you get hit. It feels like you're getting hit by a truck, and you hit the ground. It feels like you're rolling around on concrete. It's just not fun to play. And I don't know why people think cold weather is football weather. It sucks. It's miserable.
It's because we don't have to play in it. That's exactly why. It looks great on TV. It comes across. Yeah, how would have you handled Buffalo last week? Buffalo or Kansas City? You got to play in those games.
Oh, God, that looked miserable. I don't remember ever seeing an actual helmet crack like Mahomes did. That was unbelievable. And, that just goes to show you how cold everything was. It's for a helmet to crack is, what was it, minus 30 it felt like or something like that? That's brutal.
Preston, I can't remember if we talked about this yesterday. Stephen, I don't know if you watched that game, the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Did we talk about what Melvin Ingram did yesterday?
Yeah.
Stephen, did you see what Melvin Ingram did over the weekend?
No, what do you do?
Well, Stephen, I had the batting can on Melvin because he's one of my favorite players to ever wear a Gamecock uniform. But he's reaching the end of his career. And when he was in the middle of pursuit of a play, I saw him put his hands in his pockets in front of his jersey because that's how cold he was. And he was running with his hands in his pockets.
I got to see that. That is unbelievable.
Just get me out of here. Let's get back to Miami.
He wanted no parts of it.
Oh, God, that's brutal.
Who you got? Give us who you got going to the Super Bowl.
The AFC is tough. You can't go wrong, I don't think, picking either one of those teams. I like the way C.J. Stroud is playing. He's playing lights out. I just don't see them beating, Baltimore the way Lamar's playing. Mahomes, Allen, Chiefs, Bills, again, I don't think you can go wrong with any one of those 3 teams. As far as the NFC goes, I'd like to see, obviously the home team, the Bucs go. And obviously goes through San Francisco, but the way Jordan Love is playing, I'd like to see the Packers go ahead and take it to the ship. To be honest, I'd like to see that.
Stephen Garcia joining us. About 2 minutes left. Real quick, go back to South Carolina football with you. Obviously, you were at a game this season. You've attended a couple. What was your take on Spencer Rattler? Watching him and watching what he is hoping to be in the NFL.
Obviously tremendous arm talent. I didn't get a chance to really dive into much of his play. Obviously when I'm up there for the games, it's more partying than watching, to be completely frank. But yeah, I mean, seeing him at practice, seeing game film, seeing practice film. I mean, the kid's obviously got tremendous arm talent. I think it's tough when you're kind of scrambling for your life, and you got a couple of different offensive coordinators in your career here. But I'm pulling for him. I hope he does. I hope he does well in the draft, and gets a chance to get on a team. And I think once he gets on a team, he's gonna shock some people with how talented he is.
I'm sure somebody has asked you. I know you do a couple different podcasts and radio shows. I know you go on with our good buddy Jamie Bradford, who joins us. About 2 minutes left. What was that reunion like for you, for those teammates back in November, to get together with everybody? I saw you pulling Connor out there, and of course Connor might be the shyest football player I've ever met in my life. But what was that like for you to come back up here and to be able to do that and hang around Spurrier and some of the other players?
I mean, it was awesome. Like I said earlier, I wasn't sure how the relationship was going to be after, getting dismissed from the team, as a senior. So didn't have any idea that, I'd even get invited back to something like that. But as Coach Spurrier said a long time ago, it was like, time heals all. And, it wasn't like I was, beating people up or, doing some other serious stuff. It was just being a normal college kid and, just doing it too often, I guess. And that was some dumbass decisions on my part, but it is what it is. But yeah, getting a chance to go back there and getting to hanging around with those guys. I saw guys like DL Moore that I haven't even seen or heard from in over 10 years. So getting a chance to hang out with these guys and kind of reminisce and shoot the breeze with all of them, and I mean, it was awesome. It was like we didn't skip a beat. We all hanging out, and like you mentioned earlier, just pulling Connor out of his shell. That was kind of what I wanted to do my entire college career, was trying to get him out of the shell. And it's always great hanging out with those guys.
Stephen, man, we appreciate it. A lot of great insight this morning. Hope the best for you down there with the quarterback training, and we'll definitely look forward to getting you back on sometime here in the next few months.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Take care.
Absolutely, man. See you.
Take care. Stephen Garcia joining us. Interesting insight on the NIL a little bit there with what he said. Again, maybe, I don't know if there's any resentment ever there for college players, like, say, the last 5, 6, 10 years, seeing what these guys are doing now and how they just missed the boat. I don't know if there's resentment from you, because that was 20 years ago. And maybe you're like, you watched the evolution of it with some of those guys. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the program here. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. That's right. As we head into 2024, don't let some of the stress of taxes weigh you down, because I tell you what, the IRS, after years of suspending levy notices, well, they're planning to continue to send out those dreaded notices of intent in 2024. And if you've received one already, you're worried about it personally or through your business, don't be. It's time to call the Ecton Law Firm today and get a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. They have a local team that's dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues. So visit them on the web, EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com, or give them a phone call, 803-771-9800. Live 2024 stress-free of tax issues by contacting the Ecton Law Firm today. Tell them you heard it here with Bill Gunner. Preston is bigger than me, and Elwood weighs in Preston. You just going to let Bill casually drop an age bomb like that?
Which part?
I think it was just talking about I know what it was. I don't know if you look at NIL.
About me being old?
20 years ago. I'm the same age as you. Yeah. I didn't play football.
No, it's real. It's a real thing, and it wasn't a long time ago. As I said, they've made a lot of advancements in college compensation from the time that I played, short of NIL, whether that's the SEC chase, the cost of attendance chase. They've done a lot of things before we even got to NIL. So I truly played in the Stone Ages, where when you heard people that were talking, speaking of like Ed O'Bannon, that time period, as far as compensation was concerned, there was actually zero.
And by the way, it looks like, I don't know if there was actual confirmation that the new EA Sports college football game, which you were able to play and locate number 94 and move him around maybe to running back or
get him out of there,
quarterback. But it looks like they're coming out with that again on July 12th. And those guys will be some way, shape, or form compensated.
Yeah, they're gonna sign a collective bargaining agreement, same way they do in the NFL. You'll get a player check based on your likeness being in the game, and you can either opt into the game or opt out of the game.
When I said it, and I've been being serious for a minute, like you just said, I think you've seen so many changes. I mean, you've seen changes just to Williams-Brice Stadium, minor ones such as painting the place. You've seen a new practice facility and weight room. I don't know if NIL affects you, kind of like maybe players who are just on the cusp of it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how you'd be like, man.
Because truthfully, for a Garcia, he probably could have made some life-changing money where not making the NFL might not have mattered quite as much.
Maybe. I don't know. We still have to see how all of this shakes out with the money. We'll see what all that means. But like I said, when I played a long time ago, when people were talking about college athletes not being compensated, it was actually true. We would get our SEC check, which was $500 broken down per semester of $250, and then that would be your essential compensation unless you qualified for Pell Grant, which obviously any other student at the university could get also if they qualified. So there wasn't that level of compensation. They've made some very strong advancements towards it, but now we're talking about a completely different game because the amount of money that is coming into college football is also very different than it was back when I played.
We discussed a little bit of that this morning because one particular fan base is having quite the shock.
Oh my gosh. Did you know?
Alabama this morning has, recently now Alabama starting to have an eye-opening experience as to what college football. 17 years ago when old King Nick rolled into town, this wasn't the case. They were great. They were loved. And now Alabama this morning is having problems. They're questioning the parents of recruits, such as this post on message boards right here where this is Bama 5818 says, "This is literally breaking my heart." And real quick, if you don't know, it's because Alabama lost two of their higher end, according to some, what would have been the faces of the program. Offensive tackle Caden Proctor transferring yesterday, one of the top players on their team, and as well as safety Caleb Downs, who is expected to follow Travarius Robinson to Georgia, but an Alabama poster on their message board. Normally you'd say maybe I take this with a grain of salt. Nope. This one says, "This is literally breaking my heart." I mean, literally breaking my heart. Literally. Never, ever thought Caleb and Caden would turn their backs on Bama. I can't believe the disloyalty of these young men. These parents should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah. The way they raised their children to be all about me instead of team players, and this includes Isaiah Bond and others too. I'm not just referring to Caleb and Caden.
Yeah, this is fascinating. It's always this sort of deal where, somebody with a awesome amount of money comes down and they're like, "Did y'all know that the prices are going up on eggs?" And it's like, yes, we did know, actually. I'm sorry to tell you, we've already been experiencing this. This is an outrage. We have to do something about this. That's what we've been trying to tell you this whole time.
Yeah, they're rough morning. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. As always, want to make sure I tell you about my good friends at Mid-State Roofing. Larry Leitner and his team, well, they've been servicing commercial roofing for nearly 30 years and doing it the right way with honesty, with integrity. Give them a phone call today, 803-356-1919, and get yourself an evaluation. Get a leak protection job that makes sure that you're not having issues with your roofing and waterproofing. That's right. You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours, or you even speak with Blake Leitner on hours. So you can give him a phone call today, get someone out there. If your commercial business needs a roofing company, let me tell you, they do the absolute best in the business. Give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. As always, you can visit them online, midstateroofing.com. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Wrapping it up here, did we get to the bottom? What are you wearing to, what is this, corduroy jacket?
Yes, sir. This is a corduroy overshirt, actually. Is the technical term for it, yes. But this is a corduroy overshirt. Yes, this is what I'm wearing. My hot take was, Bill, and I hate to leave the show on this note, but I don't see anything wrong with minivans. And if you wear quarter zips, you shouldn't either.
That's a strong take. So the quarter zip can be made for the minivan?
Quarter zip is the minivan's outerwear.
Really?
Yep. If that's what you like, it's cool, but I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah, I've never seen you, I believe, with a quarter zip.
You won't.
You're a hoodie guy.
I will wear a hoodie. You will never see me in a quarter zip.
No, I've got enough for the both of us. I've got enough for the both. Some are sweaters, some are the athletic attire, whatever it is. It's my preferred go-to. This morning, it was more of the hoodie, though.
Yep.
We'll come back tomorrow. Chris Deary, big upset last night in high school basketball.
Big.
Well, wasn't really. Westwood's pretty good, but
yeah. I don't know. Great atmosphere, big upset. Shout out to Westwood going over Ridgeview. Shout out to Ridgeview.
Yeah, we'll talk about a lot of that tomorrow. Some reclassification as well we got to get into with Chris Deering. Preston, stay warm today.
Yes, sir.
We'll do it all again tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Fun show. Appreciate everybody for being a part of it as we once again get you through another Thursday morning. But want to tell you a little bit about my good friends at AAA Heating and Air. That's right. I've told you it's cold. I hate the cold. Absolutely despise it, to be exact. And at AAA Heating and Air, they came out about a year ago and made sure that everything not only was working properly, but they put a brand new heating and air unit in my house. It was fantastic during the winter. Absolutely enjoyed it because it's kept us warm. It was great during the summer as well. Kept us nice and cool. But right now I'm relying